Welcome back to the Halloween series, and it's time
for some redemption.
Hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the second episode in this year's Halloween series, and welcome to a beer that is distinctly hard to read. This is called Redemption. It's from Little Ox in Oxfordshire. I don't think I've actually reviewed a beer from them before, but I have had a couple because this was gifted to me several months ago on my birthday by a good friend of mine who lives down in Oxfordshire. It's one of his local breweries and he thought I might like them. This one though, in particular, this is called Redemption, and it is an 8.5% barrel-aged Imperial Red, or Red Ale. It's from 2021, interestingly. If you look really hard onto the can, I'll show you in a minute, but it is quite difficult to read, at least on a screen. Trying to photograph this has been quite difficult. Sat here with a light on me, I can actually make it all out, but yeah, interesting one. But yes, 8.5%. Red ale. It does say to drink it between 10 and 12 degrees. Now, it's been out in my fridge for a little while, but it's probably not quite at that yet. So I'm going to do my best to heat it up in my hands in this moment. But also, quite interestingly, this was canned on the 18th of November 2021 and is good until the 18th of November 2024. So they're confident with this one. They've given it a 3-year shelf life, and we're taking this on, well, in kind of the end of the second year, so it should be just about at its best. I can see on the back here it was a ruby port barrel finished beer, which for a red ale sounds absolutely fantastic. Here is a quick look at the can though. As you say, it's quite difficult to make out just because it's a bit reflective and the rest of it, but it looks very nice. It looks suitably demonic and Halloweeny, which is why I chose it for this series. Now, 8.5%. I've heard a lot of people recently say basically they think it needs to be 10% or above to class as an Imperial. I don't agree, first and foremost. I'd be interested to know what everyone else thinks. Please let me know in the comments below. But I reckon years ago, anything 7 and above, you could slap the word Imperial on and everyone would be quite happy. In the space of about 3 or 4 years, it's gone from 7% as a bare minimum all the way up to 10 in some cases, as I've heard a lot of people say. This though, rocking in at 8.5, I'll be honest, this has got all the flags for me of a beer I'm going to enjoy. It's barrel aged. I like anything that's been aged in barrels, hence the whiskey collection. Where is it? That way behind me. I like a red ale. I think it just adds that little bit of extra balance and sweetness to otherwise a slightly hoppier beer. And it's 8.5%, which, whilst is stronger than I would normally opt for, I'm not the biggest Imperial fan in the world. There are some out there that are absolutely exquisite, but ultimately I really, really have to be in the mood. I don't drink a lot of them. 8.5% though, really that's kind of mid-tier Belgian ale territory, and yeah, that is something I'm all about. So I think this could go down very well indeed. Let us get straight into it then. Fancy glass for this one because I think it's going to be quite a fancy beer. Little 330ml can, and I must say as well, Impy Stout producers, this, for me anyway, is the format I'd like to see them all in. I don't want 440ml, 750ml of an Impy Stout. 330, yeah, that really is the ticket. Quite a sedate opening there. Right then, in the glass, first impressions are a bit mixed. The colour as it came out of the can looked pretty good. It is the haziest, foggiest, mulchiest looking beer I've had for a while. The head is struggling a bit. I keep swirling it around the glass to get it to look like it really should. To be fair, the condition of the head at this point looks very good, I have to say. It's kind of a soft crema whitehead with, there's a few big bubbles in there, but in general, it's not looking too bad. In front of the light, it's like a really hazy amber. like you've dug something out of the ground, hazy amber. On your screen, it's looking a little bit more dark, a little bit more red, but in any event, it's a marshy looking beer. I'm hesitant to say that it's bad, but it's not filling me with, it's not enticing me on the visual at any rate. But I just got a small whiff of it as I was swilling it around the glass, and I think things might be about to change. So let's give that a go. Ooh, okay, this is interesting. This has instantly got that nice, deep, rich, like kind of spicy rye spice and kind of tangy fruits, orange in particular. I was going to say nice bit of earthy hop note, but it's not quite earthy, but it's not quite zesty. It's like this, it's herby with just like a hint of floral. It's got a lot going on. It smells balanced. It smells rich. Got a little bit of a kind of a sanitizing note. That could just be the higher ABV. I'm not sure yet, but overall, it's big, it's bold, it's brash, it's interesting, and I'll be honest, I'm happy to open something with the word Imperial on it that doesn't just smell like chocolate and peanut butter, because it's been a bit overdone, let's be honest. Got those nice, big, fruity, depthy notes, though, from that port barrel. They're mixing in with the core beer itself. And yeah, there's this underlying sweetness under everything else that I've already mentioned that is that kind of darker, deeper red berry, but concentrated from that ruby port. It smells good. It smells very good. In fact, I'm quite looking forward to this now. Let's get into it. Happy Halloween. Cheers. Wow. Oh, it's sweet, it's tart, it's bitter, it's fruity, punchy. The ABV, actually, if you were like, oh, I'm not sure whether it's classed as an imp, it feels like, you know, that the ABV is going to be buried. It's not going to feel big and fiery and warming. Oh, it does. Like, it's not hiding any bit of that ABV, and if anything, actually, it feels stronger than it actually is. And just as I sit here now, I've only taken one sip, went through a range of experiences in terms of big, brash, bitter, fruity, citrus, you know, herbal, all the rest of it in the taste profile. But still now, I'm sat here and there's this beautiful, beautiful malt finish. It's robust. It's still a bit earthy somehow, that malt, but yeah, it's got the kind of all-round biscuity finish to it that really just rounds the whole thing out. That is very, very nice indeed, but not without one or two faults. Right then, so we can really pick this apart top to bottom taste test time. So initially, very light carbonation, slightly sweet, but you get the, I guess, the taste of acidity. Think about port, you know, fortified wine, that kind of grape acidity. It's got the flavour of it, but without having the kind of the tangy, the sour reaction in the mouth. It's there, it's quite dominant. What is interesting though is as you go for a sip for this, and I don't even need to actually take the sip, kind of automatically, I don't know if anyone else does this, but I can't stop breathing through my nose properly as I'm just about to take a sip in. And the aroma on this is so punchy that I was about to tell you, oh, this is beautiful kind of fruity bouquet of flavours right on the front of the tongue. And I realised it's not, it's just everything that's going through that olfactory sense at that point in time. Leading on from that though, kind of first third of the tongue, flavour profile actually stays pretty similar from the very tip of the tongue, but you do start to get a little bit of that boozy build up. The alcohol starts to show itself. It's getting hot, it's getting warm, it's getting tingly. And I can tell you that's definitely true because I've just tried to film that last bit that I've just said 3 times and stumbled over myself. So it is definitely having the desired effect at that ABV. Onto the kind of mid palate then. That's where you start to get all those big fruity flavours we discussed on the aroma. This is absolutely one of those beers that translates completely from aroma to palate. There's nothing hidden away. There's nothing really extra. Sure, the flavours go up and down in intensity and fuse in slightly different ways, but overall, the structure is very much the same. Mid palate, it's big, it's fruity, massive amounts of it's kind of spicy orange again. I don't know if there is rye in this beer, but it's getting that slightly tangy, spicy rye note. Huge amounts of, I guess, both very sweet orange, but also kind of slightly pithy, slightly bitter orange zest. And along with that, those nice, big, rich red berry grape notes underneath from that port barrel. It works very well. It's very nice. Booze keeps building though. It really, really does. As it gets to the back of the tongue, that bit from the front of the tongue where I said it tastes like the acidity from red wine, but without any of the actual effect. Well, once it gets to the back there, that comes back with an absolute vengeance. Big, again, fruity, red wine notes, but, well, it's port notes. It's not as astringent, it's not as vinegary as red wine, but it's got that punch, that real big smack in out of the back of the mouth, just to let you know that really this is doing it properly. This isn't just been in a barrel that may or may not have had a bit of port in it at some point. This is taking on heaps and heaps of flavour from that port barrel, and it absolutely shows. So if you like port, this will be a fantastic beer to sit and savour on a nice cold winter's day. If you don't like port, probably not, is the honest truth of it, but I quite like it, so I'm having a fantastic time. On the aftertaste then, it does all start to change up just a little bit. Herbal, grassy, lemongrass even. Little bit of a booze flick, but it kicks back off. And this bitterness, this strong arm hop bitterness really takes over, and you think you're going to be left here with, just a real green, aggressive, herbal, hoppy note to finish this off. And it kind of doesn't make any sense. You think, oh, that kind of ruined the beer for me a little bit. But then you just sit back. And somehow, as that fades away, it reveals this weird, earthy, all bran, whole bran, super... I don't want to use the word fortified because I've used it for fortified wine for port, but you know what I mean? That kind of very mineral, nutrient-rich wheat malt note that is not as pronounced or as obvious as, say, in a lot of German beer, but it has the same kind of delivery that the rest of the beer fades away and just leaves you with this kind of bready, biscuity, cereal quality that, really just helps balance off the intensity of what came before it. Right then, let's take a quick look at this can. So on the back it says Redemption Barrel Aged Imperial Red at 8.5%, a complex and warming deep ruby ale with intense red berry and dried fruit character, richly enhanced by spending months in port wine barrels, adding sweet grape and oak flavours from the wood. Redeem yourself. A little ox, we like to shake things up to the traditional to produce more exciting beers and lift your spirits. It's got the socials on there. It just says Ruby Port Barrel. That's it. Interestingly, if you read that description, you would think that it's focusing entirely on sweeter, heavier port notes. I don't know whether something out of that barrel has come into this to lift the bitterness in a different way, but the delivery ultimately really is starting to feel quite a lot like that big, punchy bitterness you get out of a double IPA. That is the experience I'm facing, except for the fact that it peels away and then does leave this nice, sweet, robust, malty thing underneath, and the whole experience is peppered with those big red berry, grapey notes. Whether intentional or not, I don't know. It's a few years old now. Maybe it's not at its best. I don't know, but I would absolutely buy it again. It has got the charm to sit down, to be sophisticated with, and just sip away, consider it. I'm blabbing a bit now because the booze in this is quick acting, is what I can tell you. But it really does have a whole host of things going on. If you like big, rich, sweet, impy stouts, I think you will like it. If you like big, crazy hopped double and triple IPAs, I think you will like it. The only caveat to that being is if you really hate wine and port, maybe not, but otherwise it is a very interesting beer. Not something I've seen a lot of, or this style wise, or anything that really comes close to it in recent years. So big thumbs up for doing something different. The conditioning on the beer overall isn't that bad. The head is still there if you give it a swirl around, and while certainly not the thickest beer in the world, it does have this nice kind of slick, It's not great in mouthfeel, but it's not poor either. It's just about doing what it needs to do, the delivery, on the style, on the ABV, and everything else. So a few bits aren't perfect, but overall, yeah, it's pretty decent, has to be said. Go and try it, definitely worth a try, that one. And that really is all I've got to say about it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you would be so kind, and I'll catch you next time.